If someone asks you for something right now, what's the chance you actually say no? For a long time, mine was close to zero. Someone needed a favor, a ride, an extra hour, one more thing on top of a day that was already way too full, and I would say yes before I even thought about it. Not because I wanted to all the time, but because saying no felt like it would cost me something I couldn't afford to lose. And if that's you, stick around. I want to talk about why we do this and what it's actually costing us. And be sure to tap the like button so this reaches someone else who needs to hear it. The thing nobody tells you about being the yes person is that it feels good at first. You're the reliable one, the one who never causes any problems. And for a while, that's a good trade. People like you feel needed, and needed feels like the same thing as valued. You keep doing it. A few years back, I worked at a nonprofit after school center for kids. Being with those kids was the sole reason I took the job. I absolutely loved what I got to do. But it all started with gas. One of our vans was running low, somebody needed to fill it up, and I said, sure, I got it. Something small. It took me 15 minutes, but it compounds. Soon, I was keeping gas in all of the vans, then running the van schedule, then the cleaning, then the coordinating, and scheduling all the volunteers. None of that was my job. I was there to work with the kids, but stuff needed to be done, and I was always willing, so it just became my job. And honestly, I did still enjoy it. I loved being the guy who had it handled. It felt really good. But then one day I looked at my week and realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd actually sat with a kid. My whole schedule was full of things I'd said yes to, but the job I loved was still happening in the next room. I just wasn't in it anymore. What finally broke it for me was that I was doing all of that background stuff alone. Nobody else even knew most of it existed because nobody else had ever had to do it, and I had never asked for help. I had it handled, so when something slipped, and eventually something always does slip, the kids felt it, the staff felt it, even the parents felt it. They didn't get the day they deserved, and the blame landed solely on me. Not on the fact that one person was doing 5 people's jobs, just on me. I'd said yes so many times that feeling became a thing only I could do, and I had to do it alone. The strange part about it was that nobody there was using me on purpose. They just had never had a reason to think I might say no. And that's true for most of the people in your life too. Every yes you don't mean costs something. Time you don't get back, energy you needed elsewhere. The people asking usually have no idea because you've never once shown them the bill. I used to think that this made me a good person, a selfless person, someone who was easy to work with, when really it was just fear wearing a nice outfit. Fear that if I said no, people would think less of me. Fear that my worth was tied to how much I could do for everyone else, not who I actually was underneath all of it. And that's the trap. When your worth depends on you saying yes, you can never actually rest. Because anytime you rest, it feels like you're letting someone down. Now, I wish I could tell you I caught it in time and fixed it, and that I'm still working happily at that job. But I didn't. It caught me, and I burned out hard. The kind of burnout where I had to step away and spend a month just taking care of my mental health before I could even think about what came next. That month taught me more about saying yes than the whole job did. I learned to value clear roles and clear expectations, because when you know what's actually yours, you can tell the moment someone hands you something that isn't. And I learned that almost nothing needs to be answered in the first 5 minutes. Now, when someone asks me for something, I say, let me check my calendar, or let me check with my wife first and then I'll get back to you. And that's the whole trick. A little bit of space is the difference between deciding and reacting. And what surprised me most is that nobody's ever gotten mad at me for saying, let me get back to you. Not once. Now, again, you do need to get back to them eventually, but all those years I answered in 5 seconds because I was afraid of what the pause would cost me. It turns out it didn't cost me anything. So if you're the person everyone counts on for everything, the one thing I'd leave you with is this. Your yes doesn't mean anything if you've never had the option to say no. So practice it on something small this week. It doesn't have to be a big, scary thing that you don't want to do. Just something small that you really feel like you don't have time for and you need to say no to. And see what actually happened. I can almost promise you that it's not going to be what you think will. But that's most of what I got for you today. This channel is built on figuring stuff out in real time, not having it all worked out ahead of time. So if this hits something, stick around. I'm still working on my own nose too, and I'm still here.